supplier. Just very quickly, what your business is. That'll help us out. Just type it in the chat if you like. He's not responding. Stephanie's just trying to.
Angela? Congrats on making it to 5 years. It's not easy.
Thank you.
Well, my chat's not moving. Is it moving? No, it's not moving at all. Interesting. My chat's not advancing. So here it is. Accounting firm 5 years in business. Angela, thank you. Just started. Anita, thank you very much. And we have some other people joining. Okay, so let's get going. Just to give you a quick background on me. I currently have been working with small businesses now for the last 11 years. My principal responsibility has been a trainer and facilitator for 2 national programs. The first program is the United States Small Business Administration's Emerging Leaders Program. And the second one is the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Program. Both of those programs serve businesses across the nation, where we work with businesses as early on as 2 years in business, all the way up to organizations that have been around for 75 years. We cover all industries. And the core of the program is to help businesses come out with what we call a growth plan. In the case of strategy for the next 3 to 5 years. And we cover 4 functional areas. So we cover operations, we cover the marketing, the finance and accounting, and then also the general management piece. When the individuals come out of the program after about 15 weeks, they now have a documented plan of action that will take them forward. So for this particular conversation, we're supposed to be talking about operations, and we want to open up the floor to what do businesses do today to create a sustainable business, especially coming out of the post-pandemic. And most of my conversations with businesses around the country have focused just on that, because it's a near-term issue, near-term problem. Forget about what happened in 2019, 2018, 2017. The environment that we operate in today as business owners in 2022 is totally different. So in order to address questions that people have today, I focus on 3 areas. 1, goals that you set. And these goals today are more tactical, meaning more into the 0 to 3 month range. Number 2, we look at the structure of your business. In this case, organizational structure. Who's your management team? Who are your current employees? What skills, knowledge do they need in order to make the adjustments based on the trends in the economy today? And then the last piece is around what we would call process. So what are the processes that you have in place? What are my business processes? So what are my policies? What are my procedures? Are they accurate for what I need to do today? Are they accurate for what I need to do to be competitive today? Quick example, I'm sure all of you, if you go to a restaurant today, the way a restaurant operates today is not the way it operated in 2019. They're challenged by finding qualified workers. They're challenged by having enough capital because they lost quite a bit of money during the 2021 period. And their competitors are essentially transforming into different organizations than they once were. Maybe before you were a sit-down restaurant, today Grubhub, Uber Eats is keeping you alive. So now you've had to transition to more of a takeout format, and they've done it overnight. So therefore, it's changed their business model. It changes the way they earn their revenues. It changes their expense profile. As a result, it changes their profit. So we look at those 3 areas when we're having these conversations today in a post-COVID environment. Again, the goals that you're setting, keeping them more of a short-term tactical. Number 2, looking at the structure of your organization, the people, the management team you have. Do they have the right skills and ability and training? And last but not least, those processes, those business processes. Are they helping you collect your cash on time? Are they helping you manage your expenses? Are they helping you manage your relationships with your clients and customers? So I'll stop right there. That's my introduction. I'm gonna hand it over to Kayla so she can introduce herself, and we can open up the floor for conversation.
Absolutely. Hi, y'all. My name is Kayla McKell. I'm one of the co-founders and COO of Petal. We are the #1 diversity recruiting marketplace where employers can diversify their entry-level workforce pipelines through scholarships. So if you think about how a talent professional cannot post a job posting on Indeed or LinkedIn and say that they're looking for a finance intern, for example, who identifies as a Black woman. So what we do is we actually allow our employers to create a scholarship for that exact candidate profile. And then we source students, pre-vet them, and deliver those candidates to our employer partners. And the applicants to that scholarship are now qualified, competitive candidates for their job recs that they're looking to fill. So we launched this version of our platform late 2019, obviously with the hiring freezes that came with COVID. Lost a lot of our contracts, and then post the tragedy of George Floyd and this kind of racial awakening that happened in the US, we got most of our contracts back. We ended up competing in the national Black MBA scale-up pitch competition where we won first place. And we were able to scale from about $10,000 in MRR per month to 80 now. So I'm just looking forward to sharing my experience and how I can help you guys paint a clearer picture of your who. So we operate based off our W3 framework. So some of the people in the chat were talking about how you're just starting your company. So I'd love to share some insights about the W3 framework as a whole. I think this is honestly one of the best books I've ever gotten in ever when it comes to business. It's called Sell More Faster by Amos Schwartzfarb. And the W3 framework as a whole just talks about who are you selling to, why are they buying, and what are you selling? And you really want to have a clear picture of your who, understand, what are your customers buying, not just what you're selling. And you obviously want to have a very clear distinction of why they're buying. What are those business motivations and pain points that are kind of the trigger for actually working with you? So I'd love to dive into that more as you guys have questions about building your startups.
All right, so the floor is open. Again, this is supposed to be an open conversation. Questions you may have about either of the topic areas, any statements, we can have just a dialogue. Go ahead.
I'll ask a question first. Sorry, I am eating as we're in this meeting, so my camera is off between bites. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. I've had a business for about probably 12 years now. Mm-hmm. I finished my MBA in 2008, and I started my business literally while I was still earning my MBA. And so I will say it's been pretty good. I'm still alive. I'm still here. So that's good. That's the good part. But I haven't seen the growth that I would like to see. So that's definitely a big problem for me. I'm in the tutoring space. I'm an engineer by degree, so I have a math and science. I call it academic coaching versus tutoring, but we help students in middle school and high school and college with math and science subjects and do a lot of test prep as well. Word of mouth and referrals has been obviously been the way that we've grown a lot. We do some traditional marketing, but a lot of word of mouth. We've been in business for a long time, so we do get a lot of referrals. And so that's been great. But any advice you have on growth? That book you just recommended, I have not read that. I will definitely be ordering that in just a few minutes. But any other recommendations on growth? Because that's been a big we've kind of been stagnant. And another factor that has actually started a second business. So I've been kind of juggling between the two. But the first business I just talked about definitely is the cash cow. It's a for-profit where the other business is a nonprofit. And it supports, the other work that I do and with the nonprofit. So any recommendations on growth? And also somebody put in the chat about staffing. And that's another issue that we have is we have, excellent people, but we do have quite a bit of turnover. And so we lose our best people, then it's kind of back to trying to find, really good people. So it's a combination of keeping the talent and that is delivering the service, as well as bringing more people, of course, getting our name out there more, whereas a lot of competition in this space perhaps as well. So you have, people have different options. So that's a lot of information, but I'm just curious on your thoughts as it pertains to growth and I guess advantage, kind of a competitive advantage, staffing, just dump it on any gems you can share.
And I'm supposed to be in the background, but I just want to say Stephanie is being modest. Like, it's wonderful to see you here. And I mean, her work has been written up and she's doing amazing work. So I just had to come off camera to tell you that you are seen and appreciated in the community.
Well, thank you so very much. I definitely appreciate that. And I'm working really hard. Like, trust me, I am working hard. But, it's still, I'm not where Kayla is.
So Stephanie,
yes.
Stephanie, I'll throw this out to you very quickly. Question for you. What type of engineer?
Chemical.
Guess what? I'm a chemical engineer by background as well.
Oh.
So love it. Engineers, we always think logically. So I'm going to give the answer in that same format. I mentioned earlier 3 areas: goals, in this case, structure, and also your business processes. If you're looking to scale, you can check books like E-Myth. They talk about this as well. The challenge is you have to make the transition from being that manager, the can-do, get it all done practitioner, to shifting to leader. And what I mean by that is that if you want to position the business for growth, then you got to be all in for growth. So for instance, the first thing would be a goal for that first business. What is the financial goal? And you don't have to answer the question directly, but you want to really know, what is the financial goal for the business? How big do you want it to be by 2023 or 2024? Which markets do you want to serve? How many people do you want to serve? What is that dollar amount going to be? You got to put it in writing. You got to get it on paper. Everyone I've worked with over 11 years, that's been their challenge. They say, well, I want to grow. And then when I sit down with them to say, okay, put it on paper, what is the number? They struggle with that. Because in some cases they go, I don't think I can achieve it. An example would be this: I want a $5 million business. Can you say that? Do you feel comfortable with that number? Do you believe in that number? If you do, then put it on paper and say, okay, I want this business to be a $5 million business by 2027. So now start working backwards. This is how you got to scale it. Now I work backwards. How many customers would I need in order to hit $5 million? How many employees will I need to be able to hit $5 million? What size, what type of organization would have to be supporting that $5 million? Meaning, how many employees in what position doing what work? How many bookkeepers do I need? How many staff people do I need? What will I be paying them? If you lay it out on paper, it'll be the first step to help you scale. As long as you keep it in your mind saying, I want to grow, but you haven't defined what it's going to look like, it'll just stay there in your mind. It'll just keep spinning. But if you put it on paper, you'll be able to do one or two things. You'll either say, oh my God, that business is too big for me. I don't want to be responsible for 200 people, but I wouldn't mind 50 people. And if it's 50 people, I think I can scale my business to 1.2 million. Okay, great. I'll do that. Now, let me put the structure in place, meaning, do I want to bring in a partner to help me do this? Do I want to bring in a contractor to help me do this? Do I just want to scale with my own employees? When you get it on paper, it'll help you think through the scaling steps, because it always starts with the goal first. It then moves to the structure in terms of size, people, responsibilities inside the business. And then you'll get to your business processes, such as, your accounting function, your financing function, your marketing functions. But you got to start with that goal and getting it on paper.
So Steph, congratulations to making it this far and not quitting. That's first and foremost. But I think I would say I'm a huge proponent of scaling back to scale up. So when we were in this kind of pivotal moment where we realized, okay, we're doing pretty well, $10,000 a month and, MRR, this is great. We realized that we didn't actually know who exactly we were selling to, because we were doing this kind of spray and pray, like, let's just hit all of the different industries. We had a very specific kind of buyer persona, so who we were selling to in these different companies, but we didn't have a clear distinction of like why they were buying, what they were buying, how to articulate our value to that customer. So what we decided was that we needed to get ultra focused and like laser accurate around who our ideal customer profile is, or our ICP, so that we really could quickly and directly scale our business. And that's a part of scaling back and understanding that, hey, I might not get that $10,000 in MRR this month because I'm scaling back and I'm becoming intentional about who my ideal customer profile is and identifying that. So because we didn't really have a very clear picture of our who, we didn't really understand what our customers were buying. We only understood what we were selling to them, right? So you could think of that, the difference from that, for example, is like an SEO company, search engine optimization. That company could be selling you services for search engine optimization, but what the client is buying is the attention of whoever they're trying to get in front of, right? They're not buying the SEO services, they're trying to buy the attention of whoever they're trying to get to buy their products and services. So we didn't have a clear distinction between the two, what we were selling and what they were buying. And we also had no idea what their motivations were. So why were they actually buying? What were the pain points, the business pains that were attached to what that motivation is? And as a result, it's nearly impossible to kind of triangulate on what or why they're buying and why they're not buying. So I would kind of step back a little bit and identify that for yourself. And I think reading Sell More Faster can give you a really clear kind of layout for that, but just high level overview for everybody in the call. Who you're selling to could be broken down into what is their profile. So it's everything from, what is their NAICS code, right? Like what industry, what sector, what segment, how are you going to segment them? How are you going to prioritize those segments? And then go out and start talking to people, asking people in this room, tapping International Black MBA for introductions, asking people on LinkedIn randomly to hop on a quick call for you. And you don't need a very large sample size. It's probably 12 to 20 people who fit that exact profile. And you kind of triangulate the questions that you're going to ask them. They're non-leading, but you want them to explain those pain points and frustrations that are getting you to the end goal, which is your solution, your service that you're providing. And then you're also going to want to come up with some questions of, what they're buying, right? So walking backwards from the solution that you're providing and coming up with some questions of, why would they want to buy something like that? Would you need something like this? And we can have a separate conversation because I love to just learn more about like who are you selling to, why are they buying? But I think stepping back before you think about scaling up can actually be really valuable for you, especially because a lot of people will say, we don't want to do that because it could ruin our window of opportunity to be the first, right? And that could present an opportunity for competitors to come in. Or if we oversimplify our value proposition and narrow too much, it'll diminish the value that we're offering to our end customer. But really it's not, right? We were able to go from $10,000 in MRR to $80,000 because I had a laser accurate vision of who exactly was buying what I was offering and what pain point I was actually servicing. And as a result of that, we were able to scale because I had a very clear understanding of who that was, what they were buying, and why they were buying. And so now I wasn't just spraying and praying. I knew exactly who that customer was. And I think that could be a part of some of the scale issues that you have because you just don't know who your customer is.
And if I may just piggyback on Kayla, because I see there's a message coming through. We got probably one more minute or so, is that Kayla's hitting a great point around the revenue side of this. So when you're talking about scaling, you want to think about it from an organizational aspect. I have more money coming in, and everybody wants to have more money coming in from the revenue side. You also want to say, how am I going to support those revenues? Meaning, what expenses will I now incur in order to maintain these relationships with these new customers? What is my brand? What is the image I want to have with those customers? What is the reputation I want to create in the marketplace? And that takes money, sometimes takes some cost around that to make sure I can have everything in order underneath in order to make sure the business is sustainable, solid, and received well by your customers. So that's the scaling piece as well.
Absolutely.
Let's see, what is there? They're switching moderators. Oops, let me go ahead. I'm going to drop a link in the chat because we're switching really quick. If you want to reach out to me, I'm on